All right, guys, today we're going to talk about wireless solutions for manufacturing challenges. And we're joined today by Paul Hine, IIoT Product Manager, Industrial Sensing over at Sensata, and Brian Moran, Supplier Marketing Manager over at Sega Electronics, to really dive deep into this topic. So, as the development of smart infrastructure increases, the need for wireless sensor networks becomes pretty critical. And wireless transceivers, transmitters, and IoT gateways provide the backbone for these networks. Sensata, in particular, has developed products specifically designed to meet these needs. And Sega Electronics, a key partner to Sensata, is bringing these technologies to the market. So today we're going to talk about that market and some of the challenges and solutions. And when we talk about the market, as of 2021, the market size is, something like 70 billion, and it's projected over the next few years, to reach 141 billion. So this is a pretty, important topic. And I think today we should start off, really by talking about why the market growth for wireless systems is catching on. And I'd love to kick off with Paul on this topic.
Sure. Glad to contribute. Glad to be here. As you said, yeah, the market is growing a lot. It's really interesting. It's not growing in a particular region. It's growing all across the world. And I think primarily the reasons for that is, the technology is really meeting customers where they are and where they want to be. So the intention is to make sure that there's a lot of security around. People are more concerned about security and how that works. And they want things, obviously, that are very easy to use. And they want to be able to get data and send data other places without, causing a lot of encumbrances or specific issues. So it's growing fast. People are a lot more comfortable with it, and we see that continuing.
So, Brian, I got a question. Why is Sega working with Sensata to help promote this new portfolio of wireless products?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Again, thanks for having us. Well, Sega and Sensata have a long history of successfully developing business in various markets. In fact, Sega is Sensata's #1 electronics distributor. Sega also sees, as Paul had just mentioned, a huge growth and need for wireless infrastructure, whether that infrastructure is brand new or actually the wireless infrastructure will add on to an existing wired communications infrastructure that a customer might have. We see that customers also want something that's versatile and easy to install. And so this suite of Sensata products, of their transmitters, receivers, and gateways, really are offering, it's checking those boxes of being versatile, easy to install. You can implement in a new installation. You can implement these into an existing installation. And it checks those boxes. Also, with Sega's market reach that we have throughout North America, together with Sensata's technology, not only in this wireless space, but their broad space, it really creates a value add for our customers, we believe.
Well, we tend to say things like, oh, we're transitioning from wired products to wireless networks, right? This is, trending. But, I don't think it's quite as simple as that. Paul, would you say that, it's a little bit more complicated? Where are things heading as we talk about this transition?
Yeah, we'd love to say that things are kind of going in any technology from A to B and that's it. But the reality is customers have unique requirements. And so Sensata has the advantage, obviously, of being a supplier of not only wireless sensors and other devices, but wired devices as well. And so customers all around the world are very specific about the kinds of things that they need, the environment that they have, how they operate. And they may choose one technology or another technology based on their specific application. So we're flexible enough to meet them where they need to be met and to provide the technology that makes sense. So there's a good connection, I think, between looking at something as simple as a wired pressure sensor and using that in an application and being able to tell the customer, hey, we also have a wireless version of the same product, and they can really make the choice then and decide what they want to use.
Do you find most customers are sort of at this stage in that hybrid model?
I think so. I think the intent is, they're working on a specific application. They know what they need for that application, and we're able to provide them and meet them where they need to be met.
It's not just Sensata solutions that customers need, right? So I have a feeling, Brian, that Sager's portfolio really complements the wireless transmission and gateway products that Sensata offers. Am I right?
Yeah. Actually, that's true. Sager has a valuable portfolio of suppliers. Certainly, not only Sensata, but many others. And if you think about customers as they're designing and implementing a wireless system, a wireless network, sure, they need the products that we're talking about today, the receivers, transmitters, gateways that Sensata bring. But if you think about the entire application, they need a lot more than that. They need antennas, connectors, circuit protection, power supplies, signal conditioning, indicator lights. I could go on and on, but it would need an entire array of products. And it's a challenge for customers, I think, to source a lot of that. Sager can come into the situation with all of those products from leading manufacturers throughout the world, and help the customers with design, with sourcing, and then later on, perhaps with inventory and logistics services. That makes, I think, the Sager and Sensata combination are really valuable for customers.
It almost makes them more likely to implement if you're not doing all the work for them, but if in essence, you've got everything in one place, it makes it a lot easier for them to bring this transition to life. Am I right?
If you think about someone designing something, they've got their systems layout and all of that, but then you go all the other side of not only what they need to access, even if they know what it is, a different power supply or something, but also where to access it and all of that. Sager sort of brings sort of a clean path for customers for that, and because we've got a entire North American footprint, it's pretty easy to access Sager.
So I have a question. I mean, speaking about what the customers need, right? With the flexibility with the flexibility of the wireless portfolio, what technical features and specifications are they actually really asking for, Paul?
That's a great question. They kind of go through a process where maybe the first question is really around, does this fit in my environment? What do I have today that I might want to use? What do I want going forward? And so they're really looking at things like IP of the device. By the way, the devices are IP68. Mm-hmm. And so in some applications, you may be in a remote application, you're outdoors where there's a lot of temperature issues or sealing is an issue. Inside factories, you may have chemicals or washdown processes that you use on your equipment. So they want something that's really robust from that standpoint. Secondly, their next question is usually around range. Like, how do I set up a network that can reach all of the assets that I need to reach? Are there going to be issues? And from that standpoint, we're providing a network that is giving them 750 meters line of sight, and 500 meters is practical inside a building with steel posts and concrete walls and these kinds of things. Then they really start to ask the question, well, how many of these devices, how many of these sensors can I connect to a singular gateway? And a lot of that is around sort of the value that we're providing, the return on investment that they're getting. And so in this case, our devices or our gateways can connect 128 devices up to them. So they can really get into a lot of high scale applications, or just do a singular application where they need a one-to-one.
So with battery, with being wireless, does battery life come into play on any of this?
Absolutely. So the device has a lithium thionyl chloride battery in it that's replaceable. You can buy them from us or from others. And out of the box, if the sensor's reporting up every 2 minutes, it has about a 5-year battery life. So it's really got some long life to it, and you're not going to be changing them out often. But that is a very strong battery. It works in our sensors, and then some of the gateways even have some batteries in them if you have an application where you don't have power available. So you can power up the sending and the receiving side as well.
All right, so let's say this is the right solution. We get these devices installed in the industrial setting. What does this actually mean for the company? What can they expect now that they've implemented?
That's a great question. I mean, that's sort of what everybody is looking for at the end of the day is, how does this impact my organization? Why should I put something in my factory and whatnot? So, you could see operational savings because you're closely monitoring a process, and when something deviates from the expected, you can get alerts, and that means somebody might be on it to fix it sooner. We all know downtime is very expensive inside of organizations, and some organizations more so than others. So we want to avoid that. There's also sort of a walk around scenario to a lot of the machines inside of an industrial plant or even remote assets need somebody to walk by and say, hey, is this operating right? What's the pressure? What's the temperature? What are these kinds of things? And so if you're continuously monitoring these things, you don't need somebody to do that walk around. And we're a little bit short of resources, it seems like, for some of the factories. And so if those people can be off doing other things, that provides a big value to the organization. So a lot of operational savings, a lot of inventory costs savings, a lot of, ensuring that people are working on the right stuff.
So, Brian, does Sega have additional resources and expertise customers might not know about?
Yeah, actually, we do. I mean, most customers think of a distributor as we'll inventory product and buy and sell product from a manufacturer, and that's all true. Sega does do that, but we have some additional resources that actually aren't that common in the distribution channel. We offer what we call a systems solution for really a broad range of needs. If you can think of a customer who's building a system, they need they'll buy a component, but they need to interconnect it somehow. We can provide interconnect to that component. You spoke earlier, Brian, you asked about power and battery and backup. Now, as Paul was saying, Sensata offer that in the products that they have, but for a broader system, Sega also acquired resources a few years ago where we offer battery solutions of different sorts and different chemistries that can go in various places of this wireless infrastructure, which really I think fits in very, very well in this sort of applications. In this value-added center, we could design and build enclosures for a particular sensor. You want to put a sensor somewhere in this little component, it goes somewhere, and then the customer's thinking, okay, how do I mount it? How do I connect it, et cetera? We can build an enclosure for that. So a number of different sub-assemblies that we can provide customers if it's not part of their normal manufacturing.
Right. And I mean, enclosures become so important, especially if you're talking about industrial environments with all the ratings you may need, or, if it's dust or it needs to be certain grades,
Yeah. Yeah. And that may be in the customer's wheelhouse to provide that sort of thing for their own expertise. It may not. They may have other expertise, and Sega can offer that as a solution along with all the other components that go around the Sensata system.
One of the things that interested me too in talking with Brian and learning about some of these services at Sega was the ability to pre-configure some of the networks and things around the industrial wireless pieces. So as you start looking at OEM customers and thinking about specific needs or upgrade packages, they can provide not only the devices, but they can pre-configure them so that when they come in, they're ready for that OEM technician to install it and end user and have it up and run really in no time. So that's a key value add for us as a supplier to talk to a great partner like Sega and to take advantage of some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a huge benefit, having it pre-configured, so it makes your job a lot easier when you're implementing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. We find that if customers are buying a component that needs to be configured, they can do it, but might not be in their mainstream. It's something that they could offload to Sega if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. We always like to give the audience a nice clean package of, what they need to know, what is the most important thing. If you hear nothing else that we talked about, what are the takeaways, for the OEMs, the systems integrators, what do we want them to understand about industrial wireless products? Paul, why don't you take this one for us?
I think first and foremost, the solutions that we're providing from Sensata are very flexible. So whether you're walking into a traditional brownfield application or whether you have a brand new application, whether it be at a cell level or if you're outfitting your entire plant, it's flexible enough to talk to the existing things you have. It's flexible enough to take advantage of things that you may already have in terms of sensors and things like that. So we have the notion of wireless nodes where we can bring in our own sensors, but anybody else's sensors too. And that is advantageous for some of those applications. Want you to understand certainly that it's scalable. So the intention is whether you're going to go put a system inside of a cell that is a singular wireless sensor and a transmitter, or if you want to encompass your whole plant. It's possible, it's end-to-end secure, and we keep the cost low, as I mentioned earlier, by not having to implement a whole bunch of additional gateways to support that, and you can logically separate or segment the network so that you can keep certain things to certain areas. And then
real quick,
Yeah.
you mentioned being flexible, right? Can you retrofit some of the old pieces to become wireless?
Absolutely. So if you've got sensors in place, and most of the customers that I talk to have sensors in place already, and maybe they're just out of the way, out of reach, hard to get to, maybe they have a long home run of wiring from one place to another, and they want to remove some of that clutter, absolutely, they can take that into our device and send that somewhere else and bring it to a PLC, a PC. They could take it to the cloud if they wanted to, where it could be sort of brought up the stack and implemented into other software that they already have inside of their facility. So it's very flexible in that regard.
And if I might add, that's a really I think an important point. If a customer has a wired communication system network in their factory or even in an office building or whatever, and there's a part that instead of building more of a wired infrastructure, they see the opportunity for wireless. They can actually take their existing wired signal, connect it to the Sensata receivers, and then that creates a wireless signal, then go to the rest of a wireless installation. So kind of a hybrid.
So guys, is there anything else that we should have asked that we didn't about this important topic?
Where to buy?
Yeah, that's a good one. I was going to go there last, but yeah, that's pretty important.
Well, yeah. Well, Sega is one of the Sensata's distributor, but we have a great relationship, great ties with all of the Sensata products and people throughout North America. So Sega is one great opportunity to go to for this product.
I think, all joking aside, I think customers need good resources to plan these projects. A lot of IoT products and projects fail just because of poor planning. And I think from both of our sides, being Sensata and Sega, we have the opportunity to sit down with the customer and plan and really help get things started and think about ways that they can get the end benefits or value that they want out of the system. And so we've been down this journey with other customers. We have a lot of insights in terms of practices and processes and things that can help them be successful. So really a question around, how do I get started? It's really just reaching out to us and engaging.
That's interesting. A lot of projects fail because of poor planning, and that's, I think that's really important to just stop on for a second. What, just for my own knowledge, what exactly, where are they going wrong when they go to plan? Are they not planning? Do they not know where to start? Is that what's happening? Are they planning for the wrong situations and circumstances? What's going on there?
I think fundamentally, from an IIoT perspective, you have the clash, or maybe just a combination of the IT side of the world inside of a manufacturing plant, and the OT side, the operational technology and the information technology side. And the way that those professionals work on both sides is completely different. It has been different. The technology usage is different. The application for funding, working together, understanding how to make those connections has just been totally different. And now those people are coming together. So one suggestion that I have in talking to these people is make sure that you're including people from both sides. It's very important to get the right team members involved, and then the right support team members, meaning outside people like Sega or Sensata, to help be a part of that team. And then really thinking about what are the initiatives that the company is driving towards, and what insights do you need that will help drive those initiatives? Because that kind of greases the skids for all companies. If we're operating on a technology platform that brings and fits into those insights and initiatives that they have going. That's a good start. There's many other things, of course, along the way that I think are good suggestions, but getting the right people to the team and having those conversations and doing good beginning planning really makes things a lot more successful in the end.
Awesome. All right, guys, why don't you leave us one more time with where everybody can learn more, get started, where they can buy. Tell us one more time. Who's got this?
Sensata perspective, you can hit our website at sensata.com. There's a section on industrial wireless, and certainly you can go to the Sega site and find that detailed information as well.
Yes, on the Sega site it's sega.com, and you simply look at the manufacturers, Sensata, and it's right there.
All right. Awesome.
Well,
thank you guys. Thank you for talking about this with us and educating the audience. I think it's really important.
Sorry,
appreciate the time.
Thank you.